we are making a real-time tier list. Now, this tier list is going to be what heroes cater more towards the casual players. Now, let me first explain the details here. When I say casual player, that doesn't mean that you're just a worse person, you're worse at video games. It just means that you don't have as much time to give to the game. That's all. That's all. It could be because you're a parent, you have work obligations, whatever the case is. If you can't invest as many hours into Marvel Rivals as somebody else, that doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It just means that there's probably heroes that would better cater to you, right? Because they just don't require as much mastery, as much time to actually get that real-time value out of, right? So that being said, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to go through this relatively quick. I'm going to try to give explanations along the way to explain why I put these heroes in the certain tiers that I do. So S tier is going to be catering most to the casual player base, right? D tier is probably more for those people that really can have, sink some time into this game. Okay. That's how the tier list is going to be broken down. I'm going to explain why on every hero. So let's get into it. First off, Adam Warlock. So, and also a little disclaimer. I might move these real time, right? I haven't really thought about where I'm placing them. I'm just going real time with this. So Adam Warlock, initially, I mean, this hero he's got a relatively simple kit, right? Not very combo centric, but does really require good aim, precision, right? To get some good value out of him. So with those conflicting each other, I'm gonna put him at B for now, at least. B tier for Adam Warlock. His kit's pretty straightforward. He has the heals that are burst healing real time on cooldown, but what you're doing most of the time is that you're doing your primary attack, right, which requires precision. It's a hit scan ability, and you're going to be hitting people at medium, sometimes long range, aiming for those headshots because that's what really gives you that value. So B tier for now. Okay, Black Panther. Ooh, very combo heavy, right? The most complex or difficult character or hero in the game, probably not, But I'm gonna put him at C for now. Okay. There's a process that you have to learn and master if you really want to get value, especially the higher level you go. It's getting those vibranium marks, resetting your dashes, and getting out when things get dangerous. And since there's that gauge of like that risk, that's what really can make him difficult to start to get that value out of. Now, by the way, all these heroes can be mastered. No matter if they're on the S tier list, that they cater most to the casual player base, that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't really sink your teeth into that hero to master them. Okay, so remember that as well. Black Widow. Whoo. Okay, again, precision, pretty straightforward kit, but I'm gonna have to say C tier on this one, right? Again, this might move, but we're talking excellent precision to really start to get value out of her. There are other damage heroes, duelists that you will get much more value out of without that time to learn that mastery, right? And aiming is a component of mastery, right? And if you don't have much time to sink into video games in general, your aiming probably isn't going to be on par with those that really play their brains out with this game, right? That's just the simple facts. Again, doesn't make you a bad person, but it's where we're at. Okay. So C tier right now for Black Widow. Hulk, man, this is a, kind of combo heavy tank. You're always jumping in and out, knowing that risk limit, but you have more of a buffer than somebody like Black Panther. I'm going to say B. Should we put B? Yeah, we'll do B for now. Okay. Again, relatively straightforward kit, but you got to combo certain things to really get value out of him. And so I guess that's the core component of this tier list is when I'm talking about catering to casual players. I'm saying that as you invest time with these heroes, these are the heroes. The ones in the S tier are the heroes that you might you can just get more value out of without investing as much time with immediately, right? Obviously, the more mastery you do and the more time you sink into these heroes, you're going to get better. But we're just talking, you just download the game, you can play an hour or two a week. That's what this tier list is for. So B for now, Captain America, a little bit more intense as far as combos and just cycling through his abilities. I'm going to put B again for now. Shoot, I'm saying for now a lot because I feel like some of this is going to change as I continue to add this list. Cloak and Dagger for casual players, I'm putting at, it's A or S. Ooh, let's do S, especially since right now the healers, the strategists are very valuable in the game. You can get a lot of value out of your healers. You can't miss with Cloak and Dagger, right? I mean, the daggers literally go to your allies or go to the enemies. The accuracy rate, when you look at the scoreboard at the end of the game, is 95 plus typically. Even with Cloak, you just have to kind of be within a general vicinity of attacking the enemy and it locks onto them, right? So S tier for now for Cloak and Dagger. Doctor Strange. You can really master Doctor Strange. S tier hero as far as the value that he brings. And maybe I'll put him A tier. I mean, it's pretty bread and butter, basic mechanics of mostly you're rotating in that big shield to help your team, right? Taking space. Can you do some big brain stuff? Of course. Is his ultimate more difficult to use as you continue to climb in higher levels? Absolutely, right? But for now, A tier. Groot, I'm putting him at B. Again, pretty straightforward, but the wall placement is important, and you can actually sabotage your team if you don't place the walls correctly. That's just the facts, right? So fairly simple as far as a hero goes, but as far as getting that like really good value out of little time invested in, it's tough, right? Because when you sabotage your team, like you're really putting a kink in the hose, so to speak, as far as your team's momentum. So B tier for Groot. Hawkeye requires aim. Very, very straightforward. I mean, you're just lobbing those arrows in. But it is more forgiving than somebody like Adam Warlock, let's say. That requires 100% precision. The hitbox of the arrows, a little bit more forgiving for sure. So you can kind of just lob them in the general area or direction of the enemies. Man, I'm going to say, let's say A. Let's say A for now. A lot of these might be hot takes. I want you to let me know if you disagree with these, if you dramatically disagree with them or just even a little. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think about these picks. Hela, we're putting her at C, right? Because it's very similar to Adam Warlock as far as you got that hit scan. She really does add quite a bit of value. She's an S to A tier type of hero in my opinion. But again, requires precision. And why I would put him below Adam Warlock, because at least with Adam, you can give that value with your healing, right? You don't even hardly have to aim your healing. With Hela, if you're not hitting your shots, you're really throwing for your team. Facts. Also, learning that risk reward factor of leaving the area, you're staying back continually. You have to be very safe with Hela. You're going to be a primary target because you put out so much damage. So we'll put it in C tier for now. Iron Fist, very combo centric, very risky hero. C tier, I would say, because also why we're not talking like D tier for Iron Fist is because a lot of the mechanics with him are just like lock on, right? Lock on to your enemy. You really can't miss with your melees. It just goes right towards them. But there's a lot of cycling through the abilities and really getting the combos where you really get that effectiveness to use him as opposed to other duelists, right? So C tier for Iron Fist. Uh, Iron Man. Iron Man. Okay. You have verticality that you're playing with now. So you're adding like another dimension to think about. Um, you're very vulnerable if you're not in the right spots. The damage output is excellent with him. Doesn't require awesome aim, really. It does require tracking for the unibeam that he has to really get damaged in that medium to close range. If you're just kind of poking with his little blast from a distance, I mean, it obviously aim helps in any hero, but let's put him in. We'll put him in B tier just because there's so much vulnerability with being in the sky. Jeff, A or S, I would say. Let's say S tier. Yeah, S tier? S tier? Yeah, S tier. You can just dump healing into your allies with his little jet stream. You need to kind of learn how the projectile speed works. You have to kind of aim ahead of your teammates. But I mean, you play Jeff, you're probably going to get quite a bit of value with your healing minimum, right? He's very hard to kill because going underground, only that little fin is exposed. You can move around, and while you're doing that, you can heal. Obviously, you can start to big brain this stuff and drop your little bubbles before you go underground, giving you a speed boost and a boost in healing, which makes him incredibly hard to kill. Doing the damage, he outputs quite a bit of damage actually for a healer or a strategist. But as far as just like picking him up and going, let's do best tier. Loki, whoo, D. Yeah, we'll put him at D for now. He's tough. He's really tough to use as far as like getting the value. Like, could you get a lot more value out of playing, say, somebody like Cloak and Dagger versus Loki? The answer is hell yes, you can, right? And again, D tier for Loki. If you are a casual player and you want to just play Loki because you like the hero or the anti-hero, or whatever you want to call him, you like him with the lore, you like how he plays, then go for it. This is by no means what you ought to do based on how many hours you put into the game. This is just giving you a reference of how difficult these heroes are to start getting good value when you're playing them, right? D tier. Luna Snow requires accuracy, but not too much, especially with her little clap ability, right? Not much aim required there. Gives great value. Again, a healer, always going to give value. Let's do A. A. Yeah, sure, A. We'll do A. Of course, you can master her just like anybody else, but we'll put her in the A tier for now. Magik. Magik is very combo-centric. You're not really locking on like Iron Fist. I mean, maybe D. We'll say D to C. Yeah. Let's put her in D for now. She's obviously melee heroes. You don't have to worry about aim as much, but with melee heroes, often you're very reliant on that risk reward push. And when you get that wrong, man, you really screw it up for your team. You just do, right? Like there's other heroes that can add so much more value if you just keep dying. Dying is one of the worst things you can do in a hero shooter. And if you're pushing the limit too far with some of these heroes, you're just not going to get the value you need out of them, right? So we're putting her in D. Magneto. I think Magneto is a little tougher than Doctor Strange. We'll put him B tier, right? Again, pretty relatively straightforward kit. The aiming of his projectile is semi-tough. I guess that could be kind of said of Doctor Strange. I just feel like Magneto's slightly tougher to use for a casual player, but certainly can get some value. Most of the tanks you can get some value because you have that bigger health pool to work with, which is just typically more difficult to die with. You're not really risking as much unless you're playing somebody like, say, maybe Captain America, where you're doing that push and pull. But again, if you're a tank, you have that health pool to work with. We'll say Mantis. I mean, I want to say C with her aiming, But then her healing and stuff is pretty straightforward and easy and kind of just auto locks the healing. So we'll put her B tier for Mantis. Okay. And a fairly fun hero to use. You can get, you have to learn when to do the damage boost versus the heal, and do you just rapidly push heal on someone and use all your little leaves, right? Then you don't have it for someone else if needed, right? Unless you're hitting those headshots, which is difficult to do. So we'll do B tier. Moon Knight, fairly straightforward-ish kit. I mean, you get basically the auto lock ability with his onks. So we'll put him B. B. Requires aim, but then with the onks, it doesn't. But you have to know where to place the onks for them not to get destroyed too quickly. You have to be good with your positioning because he doesn't really have much movement to get him out of tough situations. Of course, he has that grappling hook. He has the double jump, but it's not a quick movement. It's not like a dash where you can get out of harm's way pretty easily. Say like even with Hela, where you have that crow, where you can get out of the way a little bit easier than you can with Moon Knight. So we'll put him in B tier. Namor. His octopi, is that what you call it? Octopi, auto lock, but you need to know where to put him. His spear toss is tough. It's a projectile that has kind of an arc, but you never have to reload it, right? We'll do B for him for now too. Peni, pretty straightforward. I'm going to say A, maybe S. Let's think about it. Yeah, pretty straightforward. I'm going to say A because she can die pretty quickly if you don't have a team that helps you out. She doesn't have kind of a get out of jail free like some of the other tanks do. Like he's got a massive shield. Magneto's got a shield and a bubble that he can work with. Captain America is very movement heavy. He can get out of situations. Penny can't really get out of situations, but she's pretty straightforward to use. And those mines just like do work in a specific location. So we'll do A tier for Penny. Psylocke, probably C to... actually, probably D. The reason why is... she's very combo heavy as well. She is even more risk reward in a certain degree because her cooldowns go faster when you're doing the damage. So it rewards that aggressive behavior with flanks. And when you're flanking, when you're doing things by yourself, you're at high risk, right? You don't have your team for reliance to help you if you make a bad move or you position yourself incorrectly or you attack at the wrong time. If you attack at the wrong time, and you're kind of just doing flanks without timing it correctly with your team, you're 1v6ing. And that typically means you're going to die, right? So put her in D tier. Punisher. I'm going to say S tier. We're all used to those types of characters that just like you put out the damage with your automatic rifle. His movement is pretty straightforward with the zip line. He's got the smoke for blocking the visuals and also bouncing you back. I think he is going to be the most familiar type of feel for most of the players. I mean, he plays something like Call of Duty or Fortnite. Like, how to use Punisher, right? So S tier. Rocket Raccoon for sure S tier. Probably S plus, right? Like right there with Cloak and Dagger. It's just like, as long as you're throwing out those health balls, right? Shooting them out. Even if you don't ever do any damage, you're adding quite a bit of value to the team. You are. Is Rocket Raccoon an S tier hero as far as just the general player base? I don't know. Probably not, arguably, because he doesn't really have a defensive ult like some of the other healers do. But he's just like, I mean, you can just get value out of him immediately just by throwing out heals in the general area of where your team is, right? So for sure, S tier. Scarlet Witch, probably S tier as well. Very catering to the casual player base. I mean, her primary ability to do damage locks on heroes. You're not really playing the risk reward thing as much. You're not really worrying about combos as much, although you can do both of those things. But yeah, for sure S tier for her. Spider-Man D tier. There's just no question. I don't even think I need to explain why. very combo heavy, very risk reward. Not even that great of value. I mean, even somebody like Necros that kind of mains Spider-Man wants Spider-Man to be better than he. I mean, he even rates Spider-Man certainly not S tier or A tier. I don't know where he currently puts him. Maybe C, B or C. I don't know. So already he's not really getting much value, even if you master him. And Necros is probably one of the top players that use him, and he still doesn't use him that much when it matters. So all that to say, you spend all this time with mastery, and even when you master him, he's pretty good, right? He has his moments. He's fun to use. I mean, if we're making a fun tier list, he's S tier probably, right? Very agile, speedy, quick, in and out. Can do like pull people off the map. It's kind of fun, right? But D for sure as far as casual player base. We're putting Squirrel Girl at S tier. Kind of if you play Overwatch, if you've played Overwatch, kind of a Junkrat feel. You just lob grenades, lob your squirrel nuts at the enemy in the general vicinity, and you're gonna get a lot of value typically. She typically has some of the highest damage stats at the end of the game. If you're concerned about looking good on the scoreboard, so your teammates like you more, or they don't call you out as much, Squirrel Girl, you can get value. She just outputs a ton of damage. Her ultimate was buffed this season. It actually does a lot. If you don't kill those squirrels, it's going to do a lot of damage to your team. Star-Lord, ooh, C or D here. Whew. I'm going to say, is it C? I almost want to put him in D. It is certainly risk reward. He's very like glass cannon E, right? High damage, just low survivability. But he does, I don't know. He's not as combo heavy, although you got to know when to do your little roll to get out of situations and reload, and when to fly in and fly out. With his ultimate, super powerful, very powerful ultimate. But you are vulnerable if you don't have kind of team cooperation or you're not taking the right angles, that type of thing. So, we'll put him in C. Storm B, maybe. Again, verticality. Yeah, we'll do B. Right there with Iron Man. You got the verticality to worry about. It is an extra dimension to think about. Pretty straightforward, though, just shooting at the enemy. You got the piercing effect. Her projectile speed was increased season 1, so that's very helpful for her, for sure. It's easier to hit your shots when the projectile speed is faster. You don't have to aim for headshots because there is no critical hit option for Storm, right? Pretty straightforward, but the verticality, you're vulnerable in the air. You gotta position yourself well. So for that reason, we'll put her at B. Thor, B. He's a tank. I'll do B. He's a tank, right? So some survivability there, bigger health pool, but it is, again, that risk reward. The Awakening Rune where he throws the lightning at people and does that high damage, it makes you vulnerable. You might not think so because it gives you 200 bonus health, but it locks you out of doing his other Thor Force abilities for 6.5 seconds. That's a long time in a shooter game like this. In a competitive game, 6.5 seconds is an eternity, right? So if you get into the wrong spot and you do Awakening Rune to do high damage, you're likely not going to come out alive, right? So, and again, like I said before, deaths are very important in hero shooters. If you die, you're severely crippling your team, right? He's fun to use, right? He's probably the highest damage output tank, right? Or Vanguard. So, but probably B-ish. Venom, A to B. High health pool, pretty straightforward with the shield, although you got to figure out the risk reward. And the lower health you have, the more shield you're going to get, right? So you're playing that risk line. Hitting his little tentacles, kind of tough because you have to be precise with it. There's not a forgiveness with it, but you can get some value with it and swinging in and out. I'm going to do A. That might be a hot take. It kind of feels like a hot take for me, but A for that. Okay, we're getting close to the end because Human Torch and the Thing are not even out. So we can try to guess their tier level, but they're not in the game yet. So Bucky requires precision, low mag size, kind of combo heavy. We're gonna say C. C. I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe B. B. A lot of B's, right? A lot of right in the middles. We'll put him at B for now. Yeah, he's not as hard as somebody like Star Lord or Iron Fist. I'm guess or double guessing myself. Yeah, whatever. Wolverine. Hmm. To get value out of, I'm gonna put him in C tier. He seems very straightforward, and he kind of is to a certain degree, but his abilities, you basically want to yoink a tank out of the enemy team, pull them back to your team, and just unleash havoc on them, right? Percentage based damage. So he's a tank killer. He outputs a lot of damage. Kind of fun to use in that regard because you could really cause a lot of damage output. And that's fun, right? To just really wreck shit up. But I mean, he can die pretty easily. Even after his buff, 350 health, if you're not using him correctly, you're not timing things correctly, you're not cycling in that damage reduction when needed, you're not quite good enough yet to snatch people out, you're just not going to get value out of him. You just aren't. He's not really designed to just go head first into the team, just dash in there or leap in there and start, clawing at people because he's just going to die, right? Like his passive will give you a second chance, but that's on a long cooldown. He has a high health pool for a duelist, but there's for a reason because he's really getting in risky situations to yoink people out. So I think C tier for Wolvie. Might be a hot take. I don't know. This is a tough one. Mr. Fantastic is very tanky. He lasts a long time. So that caters more kind of towards the casual player base. But he is also combo centric, and you got to build that elasticity to get that bonus health to do damage. Like, what value are you going to bring the team? Probably not much unless you start really mastering him. So I want to put him in B, but man, we have so many in B. So C. Do we do C, even in spite of his survivability? Hot take, we're putting him in C. Screw it. Okay? Put it in the comments of how you disagree with me if that's the case. But he is a C tier hero for the casual player base. Kind of tough to get value out of, right? Invisible Woman, great hero. I'd say like S tier, A tier hero. Again, a lot of the healers or strategists are. She has that defensive ult, which is very helpful for the team. But man, she is very, very reliant on cycling through your abilities to maximize value with her in comparison with somebody like, say, Rocket Raccoon or Cloak and Dagger or Jeff. She's certainly not S tier, not A tier. I'm going to put her at C as well. Because you can still get value if all you're doing is just the left click. Oh, cool, we got an ad. All you're doing is just the left click, right? And just healing your team, and you're not cycling through the abilities, you're still going to get some value because she has quite a bit of heal output just from that, right? It's like medium to short range, but you're going to get a lot of healing. So she's not D tier. I want to put her at D tier, but you can get value out of her. I only want to put her in D tier because the requirement to cycle through abilities to really maximize her, but you can get some value if all you're doing is just throwing out your heals to your team, and that's it. So we'll put her at C tier. That's it. That's the list. Guesses, I'm going to guess he's probably C to D because verticality, but I would imagine my guess, this is all speculation, but we're going to do it for fun. Human Torch, I'm imagining vertical because he can fly. And then the fire-based attacks probably don't require precision like, Hela would or whatever. So verticality, hard to deal with. I'm going to say he's probably going to be a C tier as far as for the casual player base. Probably a little tough to learn and get value out of. And then Vanguard, he seems just like a tankety tank. Maybe A or S. I'm going to say A, just to be safe. Anyways, that's the tier list. Those last two were speculations, right? But You know, I'm going to stick with all the ones that I put up there. I said that I might change them, but I'm going to leave them. Screw it. I'm going to go with my gut on this. And this is what, so S tier to D tier. S tier is for the casual player base that really can't sink that much time into Marvel Rivals. You may love the game, but maybe there's just things in your life that don't allow you to play the game, right? And you can only invest an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours a week, only 5 hours a week, right? I mean, there's people that play this game so much. And so if you don't have that much time to play, maybe look at S to A tier if you want to really maximize your value for what you're doing with the team. But by no, I mean, you can play D tier. Go for it if you want. Play Spider-Man. I say Spider-Man is probably at the bottom of this list. And if you like Spider-Man, he's an awesome hero. Many people love him as far as lore goes. He's fun because of that agility and that speed and the potential to do big brain, moves, clippable stuff, right? If you want to play Spider-Man, screw it. Do it, right? This is by no means me telling you who to pick. It's just like if you really want to start getting value by minimal time invested, this is the tier list, in my opinion. Let me know if you don't agree with any of these things. Put it in the comments, even if it's like A to B. Or, hey, especially if you think it's from S to D or D to S or whatever. If you think I'm way off, let me know. But, hey, thanks for sticking around. This is just a simple put together tier list. S tier, casual player base. D tier, probably not for casual players, right? So until next time, thanks for hanging out with me, and good luck grinding Marvel Rivals.